Thailand has gone beyond that point. This is the statistics from the TCEP, Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau, only of MICE visitors. When you look at this, 2017, only 1 million MICE visitors against 35 million mainstream visitors. I don't think that reflects the real truth. But these figures are from the surveys that TCEP does annually by sending questionnaires to suppliers of the industry, mainly hotels and convention centers. And in this business, I think people are a little bit protective of information they have. The mentality is that we shouldn't reveal our company information. So the cooperation from the private sector is very low on this regard. But we every year we tell our members to please cooperate and give information as much as you can. But the reality is that they don't realize that information given from their side would constitute, combine, would come into big data, big information that can be studied, can be developed, and perhaps can be analyzed in a way that it can improve everything for everybody who contributed into the information. But it's like asking people to stop using plastic bags or throw things on the street, not in the bin. People will say, it's only me, only one. If I do that, it will not make a difference to the world. But it does. See, a collective effort would make a difference. And I think in many countries also the mentality is that to give something like this is not on top of the list of the agenda to do. It does not bring back any real benefit that they can see. But that's not right, I think, because if everybody each contributes, it becomes apparent, and then you can see the real picture of what's happening or what we are benefiting from it, and the authorities can use the information to improve everything in the for everyone. You know, we can analyze the pattern or the habit, the spending habit, or the length of stay, the level of supply services the people from each country use. Like the figures from credit card companies, for example, MasterCard or Visa card, they do survey and they come out with statistics that you can believe because that's real money being spent by credit card. But that is not voluntary from the supplier. It should be voluntary and it should be true. Even in among the hotel community, they may have marketing group that they would compare arrival, average stays or average room rate, occupancy, but a lot of them would not be 100% truth. A lot of them would hide the real figures by whatever reason, is competition or to save face. But if we get the real figures, it can be used properly, and this has to come across as something beneficial for everyone. I believe 35 million and 1 million mice, that's very low. That's like what 3%? Yeah, that's like 2%. But in Singapore has arrival, I think, what 12, 13 million arrivals per year. The whole arrival in Singapore from international destinations, and they claim that 30% of that is mice. 30%, that's quite believable. So I still think that Thailand's figure is, I know for a fact that it's much more than this. So maybe it's 20% of 35 million, I'm not sure. But this is all we get. And then this is what we would get for a long time, I guess. Okay, of those figures, this reflects the true picture. China, of course, the MICE visitors will be much more than 150,000, but this is the figure we get. And the suppliers on the Chinese market, they are not members of our association. They have their own association. And you think they would give figures? Probably not. And then you see already the figure from the previous slide of the big mega event. big chunk of the figure here. So, but this reflects more or less the trend. That would be it. China, India also is the second largest. And, they come in droves also. Singapore, that would be higher figure than that. So all of these are from Asia, except maybe the US. They're very pathetic number, but again, I believe there will be much more. And, Thailand is special now that the population that we have, about 65 million, the government lately has been developing domestic travel from the Thai market. Out of the 66 million population, this is the figures of MICE travelers, Thai MICE travelers. You can see the exhibition sector is different from the international arrival. International arrival exhibition sector is lower, much lower. Here, the exhibition sector of Thai market is higher because people come into Bangkok from up country to attend fairs. Event facilities like Impact or Bytech, which are very big, they organize fairs, both international and domestic fairs, all the time. So people come in and it's movement of people and also of distribution in terms of income. So the figure looks very promising. We only started to do this maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And the figures in the beginning were very small, but now we were able to collect the figures that reflect the real truth. Meetings like that would be the corporate meetings that would go out from Bangkok into the country. Big growth, not really big growth, but big growth in the number we could get, I think. It's not that high growth, but then in 2016 we didn't get the true figure very much. Only last year we started to get reality, close to reality figures. Incentive also, this would not reflect the real truth because corporate companies would not reveal the figures too much. Conventions, again, this would be because the government encourages ministries to hold conventions or meetings within Thailand. And this is from the figure would be from the government sector mostly. But it still creates benefits. It moves people around and it's a good income distribution across the country. Part of the growth in the domestic movement would be to follow movies. This was from a TV series lately that were very popular. People wanted to dress in the previous costume and go and take pictures at historical places like this. So that kind of encourages domestic travel. Like Korea, and when Korea had the TV series in Thailand, it was very popular. A lot of Thai visitors went to Korea to follow the scenes depicted in the series. Also Japan. Maybe Taiwan can create some TV series to distribute to the world, but Korea has done a very good job in terms of TV series that market the country. It's very clever and it's very effective. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but it reflects again what I just said. We became reliant on the business from China too much without knowing. We delved deep into it. Okay, the figure on the top left there shows the visitor from the US, but China is somewhere around there, like maybe 10 million or something up there. 8 million, 9 million. And popular destinations would be Phuket, Pattaya, Chiang Mai, apart from Bangkok, and then the Grand Palace in Bangkok is the must for Chinese visitors. But the appalling or the sad reason is that the destination is cost the least. That's the reason why a lot of visitors come to Thailand, because it's cheap, and that breaks my heart. Because we could sell it at a much better rate, a much better level. Even Taiwan cost for China, for Chinese visitors, is higher than Thailand. It costs the most to go to the US, Europe, Australia, South Korea, Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Thailand. So of all these, the 8-9 million people we get from China, we get the least money. We could bring up the cost, and that's what we should do. So maybe for Taiwan, you have time to correct or to prepare for this, to make sure you sell quality services, that you can bring up the price, and you have good return on your efforts. Rather than this, it will be a long time until we can correct something like this. But unfortunately, it comes as a compensation. You need the volume, you sacrifice on the quality. So that is something that is beyond what we can do, and that's the pattern of doing business of the people from the mainland. Sorry to say, I mean, I'm not criticizing, but okay, there will be people who benefit and there will be people who benefit less, but it should correctly, it should benefit on a more wider horizontal basis, not vertical, not the few who have interest in the business, but it should benefit the communities. You know, it should benefit also the secondary destinations. That's what the government has been trying to promote, because tourism into Thailand is concentrated on the main destinations like Thailand, Bangkok, Pattaya, Chiang Mai, Phuket. We have been wanting to spread it out, and but it's a free economy. You cannot really force put a limit on the destination during certain months or anything, because it's free economy, and many hotels, they are independent in marketing their properties, and there's price flexibility. That's why the cost is so low. The people who have invested in building hotels, they want return on their investment, so they compete, and they compete unwisely. They give in to operators who bargain, who negotiate for a lower price, for maybe premium, or maybe for giveaways, or maybe some free services or whatever. It brings down the income. So it's a sad story, but it's true, and it will be like this for a long time. The very important subject is the reliance on one big market anywhere, not only China, but to rely on something as a rule of economy. You rely on something too much, you put all your eggs in one basket. If something happens to the market, you will not be able to adjust on time, and that is the danger of relying on certain market. But we don't see an end to this. It will go up and up and up. This year, the Tourism Authority of Thailand is expecting an increase on arrival and domestic. So I don't know where we're heading to, but I think the destination for it to benefit most from visitors would be on the quality side, and also to conserve resources that we have. You would have read about Cebu in the Philippines, that they are closing the island for a few months to renovate, to refresh, and to rejuvenate the destination. Phi Island also closed now until October. During the rainy season, they will be open again in the high season in November, and that is to cleanse, because I can access the photo of a daytime in Phi Island to see, but you will see thousands of Chinese tourists on the beach. There's no space to take photographs without people in the background. It's just like a market, and that is bad for the national park. You only make 200 baht for the visit, but what we lose is much more than that. The pollution and the destruction of the resources. You know, it's not really worth it. But we should maintain, we should keep, and we should make plans to conserve that. Like activity of sea canoeing in Panda Bay. You have hundreds of boats, thousands of people going there every day, and it ruins the environment. on a short-term basis for a few years. In the future, people will see that this is depleted already, the resource is not the same, the beach is not as nice as the same anymore, and they stop coming. And as we say, we are killing the goose that lays a golden egg. If we don't nurture it, if we don't conserve it, in the end we will lose out. So, but I hope the authorities who are responsible would consider this and make plans rather than allowing visitors to come in with no control. We can control, and we have fewer visitors, but similar or a little bit lower income, but good quality and sustainable, and people who come really appreciate it. And then you can bring back these quality visitors again, rather than letting it go like this, and in the end, nobody wants to come anymore. So I think I've spoken for an hour already. So that my limit is gone. I think that's it for my slide. Any questions, anything you want to share or add before we have a break? We're supposed to have a break at 3:30. Anybody fell asleep? So many people on the phones. I hope I didn't bore you very much, and I hope it was of some use. And Thailand success is partly, I think we grew, I keep saying we grew by demand. We didn't know better, we just responded to the needs, and we're lucky that the country is attractive. And of all the MICE sectors, I think the incentive side came first because of the attraction of Thailand as a destination that people want to come, even though they can come on holiday on their own. We still were able to offer them with some nice prices and some nice special arrangements. And it really grew from the early 80s until the 2000s, that we started to change the scenario altogether. But those 20 years, in the 1980s to about the end of the 19th century, 1900s, we really enjoyed good business, and things are not the same anymore. Incentive from the Western countries, fewer and far in between. Now when I go to trade shows, I see the national pavilions of Western European destinations are very busy. The Europeans, the incentive movements are still happening, but they are traveling within the EU country because of budget, and because nowadays it's preferred for corporations to not take their top performers outside of work for longer than a week. So they will take shorter trips, maybe more luxury, but not spending more time on traveling and budget on the airfare. Maybe 2-3 hours flight and maybe 2 nights program would be what most of them are doing. Programs from Italy, they go to Iceland, for example, and they crisscross among the European destinations themselves. I'm a member of Euromic, which is a worldwide consortium of destination management companies, 54 countries, and we share the same pavilion. Asia has probably a very low interest because at the moment, not many companies can afford to bring their performance to Thailand or Asia. But Europe, Germany, Greece, the holiday destinations of Europe are very, very beneficial now. They are doing good business because of the economy. But to receive special recognition for incentive achievers, soon they will start to travel long haul when the economy improves or when the corporations find a way to maximize the use of the budget. Maybe the groups will come out to our area smaller and less luxury, no more lavish theme parties. They would use services that are available at not such a high cost, and every dollar must count. And that's the challenge that we have. We need to convince them that we can give them the services to answer to their dollar on a valuable basis. fewer groups from Europe now, but when they come, they also combine with meetings and some technical reasons. Maybe companies that have factories in our countries would be more liable to bring their farmers to come and visit the factory also and holiday, because they need to justify the reason of using that much money and the time to come out. So more and more of that happening, and we are lucky in that Thailand has a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment. Many corporations, multinational corporations have company factories in Thailand, automobiles, pharmaceutical, IT, in the eastern seaboard area, with many industrial estates. Electricity also, companies, they bring people to their factories and go on holiday. So that's a selling point also for a country like Thailand. Okay, thank you.